You guys really seem to enjoy my 22 epic foundations video, so I figured today we can continue this series with 19 epic concealers. Consider this almost like an encyclopedia of concealers that I use and enjoy. We've got so many different types of concealers. We've got like uber glam concealers and very natural concealers. We have spot concealers, corrector concealers, matte concealers, dewy concealers. It's a lot of concealer. It'll be a real journey, but we can do it together. Here, hold my hand. I've opted to do this in no particular order because it keeps me on my toes. But let's get this one out of the way first because we've all heard a ton about it. The Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer. Hugely popular on YouTube, right? And for good reason. It is a wonderful concealer for very glam looks. And it pictures beautifully. But honestly, my favorite thing about this concealer is actually the way it sets. It has this nice demi-matte finish that I find does a really great job of disguising this deep tear trail that I have. See that tear trail that I have coming down my cheek? It seems to be getting longer every year. But this one I feel kind of blurs that line a bit. So this would be my go-to for glam. Another one that I sort of use interchangeably with the Tarte Shape Tape is the Huda Beauty, the Overachiever Concealer. And again, very full coverage, very photogenic, really flattens and smooths out the under eye area. If you enjoy a bake, then this is a concealer that responds really well to baking. It's exactly the kind of concealer that I would imagine Huda Beauty would create. Again, for my very glam looks. This one's a little bit of a throwback, but the MAC Pro Longwear. So I would say actually this has a similar level of coverage to the two aforementioned concealers, so more of a glam style concealer. But this one I think retains a little bit more moisture. If you like the idea of Tarte Shape Tape but it's way too dry on you, this might be a little bit more up your alley. The NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. You know what? This stuff has really grown on me, and I mainly use it as like a quick slap and dash daytime concealer. So I'll just rub my finger in a little bit and just press it into the darkest area of my under eye and just run out the door. It's also really great for touch-ups. Like sometimes when my glasses shift my foundation, I'll just use a little bit of this to kind of patch it up. And it's not really a concealer that sets. It's got quite a dimethicone heavy formula, so it's kind of slippery like a primer between your fingertips. And I don't really find that it sets. But I think that sometimes that could be a nice thing because at the end of the day, if my makeup is kind of a little bit migrated or melty, I can just smush it back into place with my finger. Also for my makeup artists out there, I find this to be a very versatile formula. So I've taken this onto a shoot and I'll sheer it out as a foundation all over and build it up a little bit in areas where I want extra coverage and to conceal. And I'll just take 10 shades and I'll put them this way down on the table, and that covers just about every skin tone imaginable. It's really easy to access. Yeah, good stuff. Although I will say the only thing I don't love this for is for very glam looks. I don't know. It might just be a matter of preference. I prefer the Huda Beauty, the Tarte Shape Tape for that kind of thing. The By Terry Stylo Expert Click Stick Concealer. So in a similar vein to NARS, this is quite a dimethicone heavy concealer that really blends out seamlessly and it smooths and blurs pores. Although I will say I think this one has a little more coverage than the NARS. Also really great for touch-ups and travel with that like really slim design. Super easy. I love to keep that in my handbag. While we're on the topic of By Terry, I really need another tube of this stuff. It's so good. The By Terry Touche Veloutee. Australian tries to speak French. I'm so sorry. But this stuff has impressive coverage, good medium plus coverage, but perhaps most impressive is the texture. It has so much dimethicone in it that between the fingertips, it almost feels like a dry oil, and it's incredible on pores. Sometimes I would just take a little dab of this and just put it on the very tip of my nose, and it's like a magic disappearing act. Like, poof, no pores. The Laura Mercier Secret Camouflage. So this is a cult classic spot concealer. I'll often just take a little brush, any sort of detail brush, and just scribble onto any blemishes, and it's kind of like mini Photoshop. This is almost like a cake formula. Like it's a very dense and drier texture. And so I think it's well suited to the oilier skin types because those drier textures are less likely to melt and migrate throughout the day. Also, if you're concealing pigmentation and it starts to give like a bit of an ashy cast, you can actually dip into this slightly warmer shade. I think that's a really handy and clever addition. I don't love this under the eyes. You might, but for me, this is exclusively a blemish or a pigmentation concealer. The Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. So this is another iconic product. And it's similar to the Laura Mercier in coverage, but this one is obviously more of a creamy formula. So I think it sits better on your drier skin types, or even if you have like a bit of a crusty blemish, because hey, that's real life. Our blemishes, they get crusty. I think this one at Mecca retails for something like 73 AUD, and I know that that sounds exorbitant, but I challenge you to finish this. It simply doesn't happen. Like, consider this almost like a concentrate. You need a pinhead-sized amount to cover all of the blemishes. Absolute holy grail item for me. Although one word of warning, I think when we're talking about this degree of coverage, it's imperative that you get a pretty perfect shade. Otherwise you'll have these discernible patches on the face that kind of say, hey, it's me. I'm a pimple that's been concealed. And that would kind of defeat the purpose. The Sisley Eye Concealer. I have this in the shade 2. This is like a salmony tinge concealer, so it's got that peach pinky tone that is ideal for balancing any bluey or purple discoloration under the eyes, but it's not so comically orange that you need to like layer other concealers on top of it. You know what I mean? You can totally use it alone. It has quite a hydrating and luminous finish, so it never looks dry or crepey under the eyes. I actually purchased this one based on Sam from Pixie Woo's recommendation. I love her so much. Like, massive girl crush. But anyway, she recommended this in particular for more mature skin types, I believe. And I totally agree with that, but it's also good on your 20-somethings. I think this might be Sisley's best product. And I've tried the primer. This stuff. The Laura Mercier Secret Concealer. So this is another salmon toned concealer that is orange enough to knock back those circles, but not so orange that it looks strange or that it's difficult to work with or that you have to layer all those products. Another one that can be used alone. It has a very creamy kind of consistency. And I think that the best way to use this is to warm it up between your fingers, make it a little bit softer, more pliable, and then just press it into the darkest part of the under eye area. And this actually does a better job of knocking back that purple blue discoloration than like 3 layers of Shape Tape, because that's what the salmon tone is designed to do. Yeah. I used to love this years and years ago, and I'm just so happy that we are reunited. I have one last salmon tone concealer that I really want to shout out. This is the Benefit Boi-ing Brightening Concealer. So this is, I believe, the exact same formulation as the Benefit Erase Paste. If you guys remember that, they've just repackaged it and given it a new name. They're all called Boi-ing now, just to confuse you. It is quite similar to the Laura Mercier that I just mentioned in that it's a salmon concealer in that kind of pot style. But I think that the Benefit is just a touch less emollient than the Laura Mercier, but hey, we're probably splitting hairs here. If you're wondering whether you might benefit from a peachy or a salmon concealer, then what I would do is once you've finished all of your makeup, take a look in the mirror in good lighting and ask yourself, does the under eye area look ashy, or are there any significant blue or purple casts that shine through your concealer? And if so, then you might not, but you might want to explore these sort of quasi-correctors, or even just a warm tone concealer can really brighten up the under eye. The Armani High Precision Retouch. So on first application, I think the first thing you notice is how incredibly thin the consistency is. I think when used properly, when used sparingly, it doesn't look like makeup at all. It sits so close to the skin. This is like my secret weapon for illuminating. It really lifts any hollows or shadows on the face. And As I've gotten older, the primary difference that I'm noticing in my face isn't actually like wrinkles or a change of skin texture, but I'm developing sunken areas where I didn't really have before, especially like here in the under eye area. So I just do put a little bit of a dab in the darkest areas and tap it out with my fingers. Bing! I just look so much more fresh and awake. But you can use this on any shadowy areas of the face. So in some people, it's kind of the corners of the mouth or the nasolabial folds or in the temples that can hollow out. To me, there is no other comparable product on the market. This stuff is in a league of its own. The Charlotte Tilbury Retoucher. You know, I think this might be my favorite of the clicky style concealers. It sits in a really nice medium space, so it's not super full coverage and it's not sheer. It's got that good versatile medium coverage that you can build a little bit. It's not super matte and it's not super dewy. It's just a nice skin-like satin finish. When I think to myself, no-brainer, workhorse, everyday concealer, this is one of the first that comes to mind. The NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. You know, I don't actually feature this very often on my channel, but it is a great concealer, and I know that many people must agree because it's one of NARS's best-selling products. It's got a good medium plus coverage, nice satin finish. It's really great for under the eyes, but also concealing larger areas of redness. Yeah, solid concealer. The Maybelline Fit Me. This is actually quite a comparable formula to the NARS Creamy Concealer if you're looking for a more affordable option. As a matter of fact, I think I kind of prefer the Maybelline Fit Me. It always just sat nicer on my skin and it looks more natural, on me at least. Maybelline Age Rewind, an oldie but a goodie. I think we should bring this back. I actually bought this recently, got a new tube because I was like, where you been all my life? It offers a surprising amount of coverage and it's got a good illuminating effect. You see a lot of people use this down the central portions of the face on larger areas to lift, and that's because it is so illuminating. It's also got quite a lot of dimethicone in the formula, so really kind of smoothing and blurring and all that stuff that we like. I have a real love-hate relationship with this sponge though. Oh, you. The thing is, it applies the product really well, but then after about a month, it starts to kind of gross me out. So then one time, I pulled the sponge off, and then the product just continued to bubble over out of the tube, and that was also gross. Look, we have a bit of a complicated relationship, but this concealer is awesome. I love it, so I just deal. The Becca Aqua Luminous Concealer. I think I purchased this one because of Desi Perkins. If you are all about that dewy life and all of these concealers are just sounding too hardcore, too matte for your liking, then this might be your guy. It's a very hydrating, dewy finish, more of a medium coverage. It's not really like a hardcore concealer. And I often use this on no foundation days. So I'll just swipe a little bit under the eyes, maybe a little around the nose, on my chin, between the brows, and just pat it out with fingers, and it looks super natural. Because it is dewy, it doesn't really set, so to speak. So it can move and crease a little bit throughout the day, but I just kind of think that's the nature of dewy concealers, right? It's a trade-off. You can't have it all. Another concealer that reminds me of the Becca Aqua Luminous, it's like a similar breed, I would say, is the First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado Concealer. So again, lighter coverage, really hydrating, dewy finish. I especially appreciate this one when I'm having a dermatitis flare-up. So if you experience dermatitis or eczema, you know that like oftentimes makeup can actually make the situation look worse. But this is one that I can wear over my perioral dermatitis, and it sits nicely on my crocodile skin. The Bobbi Brown Instant Full Cover Concealer. So you look at this and you think, oh, another standard liquid concealer. But actually, the texture of this one caught me off guard. It almost reminds me more of like a pot style concealer, in that it's quite thick, and as you blend it out, it definitely has quite a tacky experience. But don't let that deter you, because once this product melts and meshes into the skin and mixes with your natural oils, it looks so much like skin. which is really impressive because it does have more of a fuller coverage. This is also one that I gravitate towards when I'm having a really long day because it doesn't wear awkwardly. It doesn't want to like split or separate or get cakey. It just slowly fades, which I think is all you can ask for from a concealer. Just please fade slowly and nicely and don't split or do textural things that I didn't anticipate. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that I was descriptive in a way that maybe you know what concealer you'd like to try next. You know, in preparation for this video, I was going through my concealer collection and there was a lot of duds, a lot of concealers that they missed the mark for me. So I think maybe in another video it'd be cool to kind of go through the dud concealers or the concealers that miss the mark. I don't know, you tell me what you'd like to see from me in the comment section down below. Come say hello to me on Instagram, also at Karima McKimmie. I'd love to chat to you there. I am so sick. My eyes are like streaming. There's like snot coming out of my nose. My lips are split. But I love this. I love filming this video and I love spending this time with you. So yeah, okay, I'm blabbing. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye.